Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. appears to be planning to drop out of the Democratic primary for president. That by itself is a good thing. He is a bad candidate. I don't know why he was running as a Democrat in the first place, getting a bunch of his support from the right wing, and he has all these conspiratorial views. But he seems to be planning to run as an independent instead. And just like what we talk about with a potential no labels run, any third party candidacy, especially one coming from someone who was just running as a Democrat, even if that didn't make sense, associating himself with the Democratic Party, that's a risk to the candidacy of Joe Biden. Now it won't stop at the end of the primary. Now in the general, he could siphon away votes from Joe Biden, helping Donald Trump, which is very risky. But just like what we say with a potential Joe Manchin candidacy or Larry Hogan, you don't know for sure. And sometimes polling seems, especially in the case of Kennedy, that actually this could hurt Trump more. Too risky though. Not something we want to root on. In the case of Kennedy specifically, it seems like he is more favorable to Republican voters, but them seeing him favorably because he's currently running against Biden and is conspiratorial is different than them saying we'll not vote for Trump and vote for Kennedy. Whereas you do have Democrats who maybe aren't as familiar with how RFK Jr. has gone off the rails, but know Kennedy, he was running as a Democrat, and maybe think that would be an option. In the general, that would be disastrous. So again, despite the fact that you can find reporting out there information that indicates it is a more complicated story than just for sure Kennedy will sink the candidacy of Joe Biden, it's still not something I support whatsoever, even if right-wingers are more interested in his candidacy than Democrats are. But here was Jesse Waters celebrating this.
Fox News alert, RFK Jr. is dropping out of the Democratic primary and will announce an independent run for president. Mediaite says RFK will announce October 9th in Philly.
I'm not going to tell you right now exactly what that announcement will be. I can say, though, that if you've been waiting to come to one of my public events, this will be the one to come to. I'll be speaking about a sea change in American politics and what your part and my part is in that change. A lot of Americans who had previously given up any hope that real change would ever come through the American electoral process have begun to...
Now they know we can prosecute Fauci, as RFK Jr. wants to do.
...find new hope in my candidacy.
Kennedy's independent run will devastate Biden's shot at re-election.
So, of course, that's what he's hoping to be the outcome. It's more complicated than that for sure. Like I said, the prosecute Fauci stuff, the conspiracy theories, the candidacy he's been bringing forward, the way that he's speaking on Fox News, it could attract more Republican voters than Democratic voters. I still don't like the risk of it, even if that is possible. And I think both Jesse Waters and myself, to make a definitive statement on this, would need more polling on that three-way hypothetical matchup between Biden, Trump, and Kennedy to know how this would affect the race. But that association with the Democratic Party does frighten me on the part of RFK Jr. And again, I would rather him just not get into the race as an independent altogether. And to Democrats, the most important takeaway here is you and everyone you know, or if you're an independent who doesn't want to vote for Trump, you just got to go Biden, the Democratic nominee. The Democrat or the Republican's gonna win. The independent's gonna lose. So you're making a decision between Trump and Biden. And if you vote for an independent and you're someone who would have otherwise voted for Joe Biden, if you vote for that third party candidate, you're just assisting in Trump getting elected. And it is too dangerous, the prospect of a second Trump term, to risk that. Our Constitution, our democracy, rule of law, all of it is on the line here. So hopefully all Democrats and reasonable Republicans and independents all can agree upon that. And even if you have lots of issues with Joe Biden, check that box on election day. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and get a bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.